Next order. What is it, Senator Aaron Cheruiyot?
Mr. Speaker, I just have an issue on a point of procedure. Before we took a break for lunch at the end of the morning session, the Speaker gave a ruling that there was a matter that was before the House, and he gave a ruling that once we resume in the afternoon, it will be the first item to be concluded. Mr. Speaker,
Which matter?
It was a matter relating to purported changes to leadership of this House and a ruling by the Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, will it be in order if I seek your direction on what time you're likely to allow? I remember he had particularly promised Senator Linturi and a few other senators who wanted to react to his communication that he will give them a chance this afternoon. So I don't know if you will allow that to be done now or later, Mr. Speaker.
What is it, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, this is a house of tradition. And this morning, I was actually quite perturbed. First of all, the language used. The Speaker gave a communication, which was in effect a ruling. And it is being called in front of you purported. Number two, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Those are the words.
Pause there. Resume your seat. Senator Cheruiyot, did you say purported in reference to a communication from the chair? Order, Senator Mazayo.
Mr. Speaker, if Senator Sakaja listened keenly, I said that the Speaker was speaking about purported changes to leadership, upon which he went on to give a communication.
Order, Senator Cheruiyot, I need to understand you. So the purport is on the changes, but the purport is not on the communication.
My point exactly, Mr. Speaker. That is exactly what I was trying to say. That is what I mean.
Senator Sakaja.
Mr. Speaker, English came by various means. The whole import of the Speaker's communication was effecting changes that he said are effective today. So if you say purported, at what point of this, you're actually saying whatever the Speaker did was purported. That was my first issue. But that notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, the tradition of this House, and I wish, in fact, there are some senators who have been here for many years, including Senator Kaniri, the extent to which a communication by the Speaker can be subject of debate, I think the line is getting blurred. Mr. Speaker, we need you to rule. Once you give communication or ruling from your chair, Mr. Speaker, is that then a motion to debate? Is it subject to extensive debate? Should we change the rules now, or is it a statement? Is it a ruling that you've made and we move on to other things, Mr. Speaker? We need clarity on that.
Now, as you are asking for another ruling on that issue of whether a ruling can be commented on.
Not commented on, sustained debate. Mr. Speaker, there's a difference. Okay. Comments can be made for a few minutes and you close the issue.
Okay.
But sustained debate questioning the actual communication made by the Speaker. That we need to know that. So that going forward, the other communications that you will make, we will know this is now open for us to debate, and maybe you might change your mind or not, Mr. Speaker. Okay. I think that clarity is important.
Okay, thank you. Senator Mazayo.
Bwana Spika, asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, ninavyoelewa mimi kisheria ni kwamba wakati Bwana Spika amesha communicate, yani ameshaweza kuweka zile sababu zake mbele ya bunge, kwa sababu gani amesema namna hiyo, huwa ule ni uamuzi wa Spika. Na kama Spika amefanya uamuzi wake, itakuwa ni madhambi, itakuwa si sawa kisheria sisi kama bunge la Senate kuanza kujadiliana tena na huo uamuzi ambao umefanywa na Spika. Kisheria Spika sasa amekuwa functus officio, kulinganishana na hilo jambo ambalo ametoa uamuzi wake. Sasa nashindwa ni kwa sababu gani tunakuja tena mchana tunasema kwamba tufungue tena mjadiliano kuhusikana na yale aliyoamua Bwana Spika. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Order. What is it, Senator Wetangula?
The Speaker, I'm just wondering aloud, did the Speaker, I wasn't here in the morning, did the Speaker make a communication or he made a ruling? Because the two are not the same. Yes. So
What would be the difference before I tell you what it was?
A communication, the Speaker is a conveyor belt, so to speak, conveying a message from elsewhere as is, where is, to the floor. A ruling is a reasoned process by the Speaker, giving reasons both factual and legal, where necessary, on any issue that comes before the floor. So we should be told whether you communicated or you ruled.
Senator for Migori.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are two issues here. Whether it's a communication or a ruling, there are certain communications that are not debatable because they are of no use. The debate regarding those communications will neither change the subject matter of communication or not. If it is a ruling, then of course it's not debatable. But given the nature that was of communication that was made by the Speaker, is it really useful to debate it because it cannot be changed here? It cannot be altered. It is communication that came with finality. It is what it is.
Senator Mahmoud.
Mr. Speaker, it's true this is a House of Rules and Procedure and Precedences. The Speaker, after he read the communication, allowed some interventions.
Excuse me?
What Senator Cheruiyot is asking
Yes.
is that intervention was ended because time ended. And in fact, he did say we will continue. He's asking, can we continue? That's all. He's not challenging the Speaker's ruling as such, but the debate already ensued.
All right.
And thereafter, in fact, he was trying to give people like Susan some time. So I think, is it, when do you come back to it? That's the question which Senator Cheruiyot asked, not challenging the Speaker's ruling.
Okay. Senator Linturi.
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, by the time we broke at 12:30, I was on the floor. And the Speaker promised that he will give me an opportunity to finish when we embark at 2:30. So whether there will be any change or not, at times, Mr. Speaker, we give our ideas or speak on matter for record, for posterity.
So what is the point?
The point is, since the Speaker made a communication to this House,
Yes.
gave people an opportunity to speak on that communication, Mr. Speaker, I beg that
Yes.
I being given my time so that at least for record, I'm able to say what I had in mind in the morning.
Okay. Is that all? Not really. Yeah. You have already, you have another point of order, Senator Mazayo? No. Maybe let me hear Senator Kangata first. I saw your hand up, or was it the mask?
He was adjusting the mask.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yeah, it is true. There was a communication that was made. For me, I deemed it as being final, but I do not have any problem, Mr. Speaker, if my brother could be given an opportunity to ventilate and say whatever he may want to say.
Senator Dr. Langat.
If there is an opportunity, he can be granted the same.
Senator Dr. Langat.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. By the time the debate immediately the communication was made by the Speaker, it became open for the debate. And it reached the time when...
Open for debate. Was it a motion?
No, it was open for discussion. That is.
Discussion?
People were commenting on the...
You don't discuss a communication from the Speaker.
But it was open for comments.
It wasn't open. Unless somebody on a point of order
contributed,
makes an observation.
And there were so many interests.
Yes, because the way you are coaching your words. It's as if it's a motion for debate, which is not.
Yes, then may I say that it attracted several comments, Mr. Speaker. And in
Yes.
that case,
Comments are allowed at the discretion of the Speaker.
exactly, and there were so many interests, including myself, and that's why I'm still around here waiting for it.
So what is the
Because,
point?
As Cheruiyot was asking, if we still have
Which
that.
Cheruiyot?
Senator
Senator for
Cheruiyot.
Kericho.
Yes,
Yes.
he has asked. I was also at the same point that at what time are we going to be allowed to
Very
continue?
well. Because there are so many Cheruiyots in town, and
I meant Cheruiyot.
but there is
Senator
only
from-
one Senator Cheruiyot of the Kenyan Senate.
I can say Senator
Yes.
Aaron Cheruiyot from Kericho, my former student.
Order, order. The last bit is inconsequential. Here, it's inconsequential. Out there, it could have consequences. What is it, Senator Murkomen?
Speaker, we may want your direction on the consequentiality of teacher-student relationship in this house. Because last time, Mr. Speaker, when I acknowledged you that you were my great teacher, you were excited, happy. You didn't question consequentiality, Mr. Speaker.
In other words, Senator Murkomen, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I don't want you to close that gate because, Mr. Speaker, I have two students in this house. Senator Chiloyako, who did exceptionally well in my subject, and Senator Cherargei, Mr. Speaker, who also did very well in my 4 subjects. And you know, Mr. Speaker, I did well in your classes.
Now, I don't know whether now we are on another subject. What is this, Senator Wetangula?
For the record, I also have a
Yes.
student in this chamber.
Yes.
The substantive speaker,
Yes.
Kenneth Lusaka, was my distinguished student.
Wow.
And he's normally very proud of it.
Wow. So there's a place of teachers and students. Senator Mutua Kilonzo, are you also a teacher or you were taught?
No, I don't have anybody who taught me here.
Yes.
Speaker, I was also wondering, in view of the communication made by what Senator Wetangula refers to as a substantial speaker, I'm wondering whether you are also in the position to continue with the debate on his behalf, now that he is not sitting, if assuming an issue arises about his communication that he needs to respond to, whether you are in the capacity to respond.
You're out of order. The office of the Speaker enjoys perpetual succession, vertically and horizontally. You're out of order. Next. Next. Senator Sakaja. And then Senator Kihika.
Mr. Speaker, I think the issues I raised are clear, and not just for this particular communication. Because it is good for us to establish that moving forward, how we treat what comes from the chair. Secondly, because Senator Wetangula was asking whether it's a communication or a ruling. Mr. Speaker, there's some communications that come, a message from the National Assembly or their students in the gallery. But what was given in the morning, Mr. Speaker, was a considered communication where the Speaker said he received certain communication.
Order, Senator Sakaja.
Mr. Speaker, just allow me to finish, then you get the
Unless you're introducing something else. You know, now you are helping me, and when I did help, I'll ask you for help. Now I don't need.
Mr. Speaker, I know you're exceptionally brilliant, but you cannot tell what's in my mind.
It's
Just
not about
allow me to
brilliance,
finish.
it's about, there's a reason why I'm saying that. Unless you are making maybe an argument to support or to oppose some of the points of orders, yes, be guided accordingly.
I am guided, Mr. Speaker. I'm asking if the content of what he gave us was that he has seen 1, 2, 3 things, and based on what he has seen and considered that, he gives a communication. When we go in now to talk about it and start questioning those three things, are we questioning the communication?
So what is the point?
Is it a ruling, Mr. Speaker?
So what is the point?
I am asking you to
Okay.
rule on, to give direction on that, Mr. Speaker, because it is not just a communication that
I
the
get it.
students in the gallery, he has considered different elements and made a decision.
I get
So it's
it.
a ruling.
I get it. You know, I think we should. Senator Kihika, you haven't spoken.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to support your allowing a few interventions on the issue. One being, yes, this is a house of record, and clearly the Speaker stated that after lunch, or rather in the afternoon session, the senator who was on the floor, who is Senator Linturi, and a few others would be able to continue with the interventions, with a few interventions. So it would be quite unfortunate if it ends up being that the Speaker was lying, or something to that effect.
Order. That's an exceptional word.
Not telling the truth. Okay. So
That
I think
is also exceptional.
stretching was a bit
Order,
economical.
order, Senator Susan Kihika. So, order, Senator Lagat. Senator Kihika, can you take your seat for a second? I would like to refer you to our standing orders on the use of exceptional words. Okay, the use of exceptional words. I think those words are, I know what you mean. You want to say that the Speaker's word should count. Then say that. Just say that. Just say that, please. Otherwise, the issues of
Mr.
lying, and those are words we can't use here.
Mr. Speaker, I will agree with you and use the words you have suggested. But I think the definition is objective when you say lying, but I will withdraw it. But since you did say that you understand what I meant, then you get the point.
Senator Kihika, you are complicating a very straightforward issue. It's, I am aware that there, and that's why I'm not in a hurry. I'm of course about to give directions, but I'm aware about the item in question and the kind of the content. That notwithstanding, before I give directions, I will just request Senator Kihika and every other senator to respect Standing Order 96 and 97. If you use exceptional words, I will ask you to retract. If you don't, then we'll apply Standing Order 116 and 117. Period. Otherwise, having said that, I have noted the sentiments by Senator Kihika, and it is true. The Speaker's word should count. It must count. It ought to count at all times. I've made your case better, Senator Kihika, in the process. Now, very well. Two things quickly. One, there was a communication a few minutes to the end of the last sitting today, the previous sitting today, concerning, which was issued by the Speaker, concerning changes in the leadership of the majority party. Now, before this sitting, I went through the Hansard, and it is true, as Senator Kihika says, and Senator Aaron Cheruiyot, although they didn't use the exact words, that the Speaker had said, because it was in the middle of that comments arising after that communication, that time elapsed, and the Speaker did say that when we resume, on the request of Senator Ntori, that he would entertain, closure of those comments. So that is the first point. Second point is that you cannot question or try to defy or inappropriately discuss the directives, orders, rulings, communications of the chair, because that would impute very badly against the dignity of our House. The Speaker is a symbol of our institution. Thirdly, on the issue raised by Senator Wetangula, whether this is a communication or a ruling as supported by Senator Sakaja. What was articulated earlier today was both a communication and a ruling. It's a communication because it's a message from a political party of this House. It's a communication, because a communication is normally, as one of the senators, I can't recall which one, said, the Speaker then becomes a conveyor. Is Senator Wetangula, I can see him pointing at himself like the lizard that jumped from the high Iroko tree that said, if nobody praises me, I will praise myself. It's actually Senator Wetangula. I think you are blowing your trumpet, and as you told us once, President Amin said that you should blow your trumpet because it is yours. Your trumpet is yours. So, would you expect it to blow? It's yours. It's yours for blowing. Now, in a communication, it's just a message or some conveying something. But a ruling is a determination on an issue that requires interpretation of facts and law. And therefore, the Speaker did both. One, he communicated a decision of a political party, the majority party, but also its interpretation on that, what he had received, because it has consequences. And therefore, this is both a communication and a ruling. Fourth and final point is, while you cannot question or be unnecessarily critical of the decision of a Speaker, just like a decision of a judge, in our tradition, as Parliament in the Commonwealth, once a Speaker makes a communication, a senator or senators on a point of order may make an observation, may seek a clarification or further guidance without opening the merits or trying to bastardize or otherwise interfere with that decision. So that is allowed, and that's the way I understood what happened earlier today. And there were some senators who wanted to make some comments, and they were interrupted. And because that is our tradition, and given that this is a matter that is serious enough, I direct that in favor of the request by Senator Aaron Cheruiyot, I'll allow perhaps a few more senators who wanted to make observations, but please, if you get an opportunity, make them within the rules. I'll be patient because of the gravity of the issues, but I will also be firm with the rules in case the rules are broken. And you know the rules. What is it against Senator Kangata? You want to comment on what I've said or on the communication from Speaker Lusaka? Very well. Let me start with you. Sorry, Senator Linturi, I am informed, it's true, was on the floor and was promised to complete. Please complete, Senator Linturi.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I was interrupted, or before the House rules, I was at a point where I was remembering those old days when we had a speaker who sat on that chair when the country was facing serious problems, when the country was almost on the verge of collapse. Mr. Speaker, looking at this House, the members that were in that House 10 are only three seated in this House. Senator Kaniri, Moses Wetangula, and Mahmoud. And Mr. Speaker, at that time, the emotions in this country were so high. Mr. Speaker, at that time, immediately after the election of the Speaker, there was a point of order that was raised because that was the day the House was convening, and there was a serious argument on whether to swear in the member for Dhaya then, Mr. Moi Kibaki. We had just elected the Speaker, and the Speaker, in our view, was from the minority side, and the minority side then expected that the Speaker would rule in their favor. Solomonic wisdom prevailed that day. And Mr. Speaker, when we are given opportunities to serve, we must always be able to balance between political interests, partisan interests, the interest of a country, the interest of an institution. And Mr. Speaker,
Senator Linturi, would you like to be informed by Senator George Kaniri?
Oh,
proceed, Senator Kaniri.
The senator just mentioned my name as one of those who was present then. But I just want to inform him that he just said that the Speaker then was from the minority. That is not true. The Speaker then was Speaker Marende. At that time, we had only government and the opposition side. Marende was from the majority side. That's how he had won the speakership. So the Speaker ruled in favor of the government, and yet he had been elected by the opposition. So there was no minority and majority at that time.
Very well. Senator Linturi.
Oh, I wish, Mr. Speaker, my good friend Aniri would have listened. Because, Mr. Speaker, when I sent...
I thought he listened. That's why he wanted to inform you.
He would even have been better in a position to remind me. Because this is over 12, 13, 14 years ago, Mr. Speaker. And I really appreciate the intervention. So, Mr. Speaker, at that time, because of the nature of our politics then, Kennedy Marende rose and made a ruling. A ruling that did not go on well by the majority side, as he's trying to see. And at the end of the day, Parliament was sworn. And Mr. Speaker, when Parliament was sworn, we had to start on a very, very hard task of reconciling this nation, coming up with a rule of, with an account that would run this country. Moses Wetangula sat in that team. So I am reminding the chair, Mr. Speaker, and how I wish the man sitting on the chair is the one that was chairing in the morning. Is Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Linturi.
Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Linturi. Order, Senator Linturi. I thought we had a truce. I thought we had an agreement that, yes, Speaker will allow comments. You don't even have to paraphrase it. Please abandon it altogether, completely, and move on with your otherwise good comments. And I mean it. Please don't abandon that sentence. I don't want to say further.
Mr. Speaker,
This seat, Senator Linturi, exists in perpetuity. This seat exists in perpetuity. It's not personal. It doesn't talk to who this versus that. So please abandon. Let's not over dramatize it. You finished? Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I would want to conclude, Mr. Speaker. The reason why, Mr. Speaker, was giving them basis or making these observations is because the argument then was that numbers never mattered, and in any political contest, then we've all maintained that numbers are critical. So, Mr. Speaker, however much I would not want to challenge the ruling on decision, I wanted to go on record that the exercise of authority, the exercise of power of discretion bestowed upon any state officer by virtue of the office that's occupied is supposed to be exercised for the good of the majority and the greater public good. And it is painful, Mr. Speaker, in an era of accountability, in a situation where as the majority party in this country, a party that we worked very hard, that we campaigned for to bring to power, Mr. Speaker, and why I feel completely lost. Not that I have any personal problems with the leadership that is purported to have been changed. So, Mr. Speaker, one or two questions Kenyans are asking themselves, or must want to know, is why or how I worked too hard to convince this country that politics is about numbers, and at the end of the day, after taking over the leadership of our country, and then, through the throat, Mr. Speaker, you are forced a leader who comes from the minority.
Senator Linturi, are you discussing the events in your political party?
No, Mr. Speaker. What I'm trying to explain is that just like
the observation should be on around the communication by the chair. Of course, there's a background to it. There's a background to it, but also a thin line between the proceedings of the House vis-a-vis political party activities, which the House normally doesn't interfere with.
Precisely, Mr. Speaker, and if you recall or know, the change of leadership of a political party in a house like this one requires the majority of the numbers of that particular side. When Moses Wetangula was being removed as leader of minority, remember I stood and I'm on record saying, Moses, if you are the leader of minority in this house, coming from ANC, and the other party had so many numbers, then you must also thank them for having given you the opportunity. So it is on record. That is what I said that particular time, Mr. Speaker. And why I'm raising this, however much we may not be able to change anything, is for purposes of record. That yes, we may admit that today the change of leadership in this House is, our majority leader is one Samuel Fogisho. Samuel Fogisho, Mr. Speaker, who is a member of the party that brought me to Parliament for the first time, and the party that I really liked, that is KANU. And Mr.
What
Speaker,
is it, Senator
the case,
Ochilo Ayako?
The absence of a coalition.
Order, Senator Linturi. What is it, Senator Ayako?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wouldn't want to interrupt my very good friend, Senator Linturi, and we are looking forward to working very well in our committee. Mr. Speaker, from what I'm gleaning from the information available, there is a dispute in court regarding some of the matters that Senator Linturi is mentioning.
Where is the evidence?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, some of these things are electronic. If you want me to send them
No,
to
no, no,
your
no,
phone,
no. We have the standing orders. We have the standing orders. We have not amended our standing orders to allow electronic proof. Not yet.
Mr. Speaker, can I just put it in context?
Yes.
Even the ruling that we are talking about here was about, it alluded to what was already in some other place, which is court. Now, knowing very well that the details of what is in court, this forum or this chamber would not be the appropriate place to discuss it. I just wanted your guidance on a point of order.
Well, we have already made extensive rulings on sub judice. As far as we are concerned, we are not aware of what the other arms of government are doing. When they make decisions that touch on this arm of government, they will let us know through appropriate channels. Once they tell us, we'll evaluate those decisions in light of our own procedures, because we are an independent arm of government.
I hear you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
And from where I sit, I'm not aware of any messages from the judiciary to Parliament on this matter. Senator Niri? Oh, sorry, Senator Linturi.
Interruption, Mr. Speaker.
I had promised some patience, but we can take a decision of maybe not more than 5 minutes.
So, Mr.
10
Speaker,
is a
as
lot.
I conclude,
10 is a lot. Maybe 5. Yeah.
As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, we will accept. We will accept that there was a coup. We will accept.
What are you accepting?
Right? Yeah, in the leadership of the House, Mr. Speaker. Because if, Mr. Speaker, we engage the House, at least there's a list of over 20 senators saying we are not part of this dissolution. And, Mr. Speaker, there was an order that was served to the Speaker from the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal, not recognizing the party, the coalition agreement between Jubilee and KANU. Probably, Mr. Speaker, you are telling us now to completely forget about systems, about the observance of the rule of law, about the adherence to the tribunals that have been set by the Constitution to arbitrate when there are disputes within ourselves. So, Mr. Speaker, be it as it may, let us all remember, we may be sitting here, but in the history of this country, to be remembered, there was one time where somebody given the responsibility to manage the House sat down and midwifed the death of democracy.
Order.
The death of free
Order, Senator Linturi. Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Linturi. Order. You know, Senator Linturi, you must understand the chair. Because the chair, I can see when you said what you have just said, there were comments, varying comments, depending on the recipient of your information. But please understand, the chair can neither cheer nor jeer. You get the point? So let's not, these are things, some of the things you're saying can be said, maybe out there in our party caucuses. Senator Kangata, I thought you should listen first. That's what I should think. I mean, natural justice. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Speaker, just on a point of order, I know you've brushed aside the last comment by Senator Linturi. I'm not quite certain whether you want that statement on record, that the person who is charged with managing this house...
I didn't even quite hear him because I didn't want to hear what he was saying.
You heard.
I didn't quite hear the meaning, but I heard him trying to perhaps...
What
did he say?
He said the person given the responsibility of managing the business of this house midwifed the death of democracy. Who is that person? If that person is in reference to you, Mr. Speaker, it cannot be on record.
Senator Ntuli, were you referring to the Speaker? Let's yes?
Mr. Speaker, if you never hand, being the person that is so sensitive to comments that we make here, who is always listening to what we are saying, and who has been steadfast in correcting us, Mr. Speaker, unless my good friend Mutula Kilonzo Jr. may have been in another round where I was trying to imagine such statements coming from Linturi. So, Mr. Speaker, if you have not heard, I don't think he may have been imagining his own things.
Let's make progress. Let's make progress. I have already made myself clear. Let's make progress. Let's make progress. Senator Haniri. What is it, Senator Haniri, a moment. What is it, Senator Pareno? You are a bit agitated.
Mr. Speaker, I would really hate to imagine that what is on Hansard is something that we can hide from.
What is on the Hansard?
Exactly what Senator Mutula told you that Senator... Which is that he said that the person who is entrusted to manage the business of this house sat in over used the word and killed democracy. He even used the word coup. Mr. Speaker,
yes,
should we shy away from what is on record and not ask him to withdraw and just brush it like that to remain on record?
Senator Ntuli, I have taken, because I didn't quite hear, but because I was attending to something else within the House, and then my suspicion is that you are trying to violate 96.1, but I stopped you early enough. So I hope what Senator Mutula Kilonzo is saying and Senator Pareno is not 100% the position.
Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm to this House, and I'm ready to be beyond responsible, that I did not say that the Speaker there sat down to kill democracy, as Senator Pareno is trying to insinuate. I did not.
Okay. That clarifies it. What is it, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, not only have you not clarified it.
Order, Senator Ntuli. You cannot leave the chamber when you are on. We have to acquit you. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, not only have you not clarified it, because if someone says, no, I didn't say that, and it is there. Mr. Speaker, you have let that same paragraph be repeated now thrice. So, Mr. Speaker, if you consider that matter and the answer is consulted, all other such references must also be...
I hope, Senator Sakaja, you are not saying that the chair is abetting and aiding a crime.
By implication, Mr. Speaker, you have let it remain in the record of this House. Unless the answer is consulted, I think it will be bad for you to let that happen to your own chair, because you're the Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
What are the Act of 21? Because that's what we need to be checking. I'm on the floor. I'm the one talking.
Let's make progress. We are going to confirm from the Hansard, and I'll make further directions after confirming from the Hansard. Next, Senator Haniri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On commenting on the ruling of the Speaker, let me begin by congratulating Senator Pogisho on his elevation, because in a sense the ruling was making him the leader of the majority side. So I want to congratulate him with the rest of the team that he was elected with, and wish him well. Mr. Speaker, I know him. We've worked together. He was once my minister in the Ministry of Information and Communication. I was his deputy. and we worked very well, and I know his capabilities. So I know that he is equal to the new task that has been bestowed onto him. Mr. Speaker, I wasn't in when the Speaker made the communication and the ruling, but I listened to him on television. And I agree with you fully, Mr. Speaker, that it was both communication and a ruling. Because he stated that he had received communication from the majority party. And Mr. Speaker, he went further to say that he was satisfied that the due process was followed. Who are we to doubt him? He said that the members who attended the PG were well convened and that there were 20 in number, which was the requisite number. Mr. Speaker, we cannot question that. We want to believe that our Speaker is a man of honor and that he was telling us the truth. And this is what he received from the ruling party. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I just want to ask my brother, Senator Murkomen, the Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, and my good friend and age mate, the Senator for Nakuru, Senator Kihika Susan Kihika.
Must you disclose? Must you disclose those other details?
I must, Mr. Speaker, but nothing stops me from
maybe with consent. Yes.
We have a mutual consent.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay.
We have a mutual consent.
Very well. You are accused of making the matter worse.
She's here. She can confirm.
In fact, she is nodding shyly.
Yes.
So she's not complaining.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, the truth of the matter is that these two honorable members served very well, diligently. We all know that. We all know their capabilities. And it's clear in my mind that their sacking is not that they were incapable. It is because of other considerations, which I may not know because I don't belong to that coalition. So I just want to encourage them to accept this. Senator Orengo told us here once that governments and revolutions eat their own. Mr. Speaker, I was a victim. I was eaten by my own at one point, so I understand what it is.
How come you are here? if you are eaten.
Mr. Speaker, just for the record, in 2002, we went all out to support President Kibaki to become the president. I sacrificed, Mr. Speaker. I was sacked by the KANU regime for supporting Kibaki. Yes, thank you, Senator Mutula.
Order, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. This is not a place to market your legal firm. Why are you telling us who your clients are?
Point of information.
Would you like Senator Vanisi to be informed by Senator Yako?
Sure.
Senator Yako. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator George Haniri and I enjoy a history together. We were in the same primary school, and we were also victims of the same
eating.
But fortunately, like Jesus Christ, we have resurrected, and here we are. So I wanted to add that to the anecdote of Senator Haniri and give Senator Murkomen hope. You will resurrect someday, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Speaker.
The information is that, okay, all right.
That's
yes,
very useful information, Mr. Speaker. So I was just narrating that we supported that regime to come to power in 2002. And in 2005, we were sacked by the same regime just because we differed in principle. We didn't support the constitution that was being pushed onto Kenyans at that particular time. So I want to tell you, Senator Murkomen and Senator Kihika, your future is bright. Musife Moyo, your future is bright, just soldier on, but accept, you cannot fight systems. You cannot. There's only one individual that I know who has done that over years and he has survived. Please don't walk that path. Thank you.
Order, Senator Kaniri. Order. Senator Kaniri, you have spoken so well except the last sentence. What do we have to do with systems here? What are systems to do with what we are discussing here?
Mr. Speaker, is the party system. The same system, the party system, the system that fired them. You can't fight that, Mr. Speaker.
What is it, Senator Murkomen?
The Speaker, I want to thank Senator George Kaniri, my friend, Sir George, as we call each other, for the kind words of encouragement. Mr. Speaker, he was doing so well until, Mr. Speaker, he contradicted himself. That, Mr. Speaker, he resurrected, and we were going to resurrect, and maybe the third day like Jesus Christ. But, Mr. Speaker, is he in order to then contradict himself by saying you cannot fight anything? And yet, Mr. Speaker, he says it's a testimony that despite all what he went through, he's still in this house, Mr. Speaker, and he resurrected.
In other words, he fought systems and survived. Yes. Senator Ayako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to just make very brief remarks. First, I want to say that some of these things should not be taken personally. I know it hurts when positions change. I have personally been in that kind of situation where you work tirelessly and support a political party, and then somewhere down the road, you differ in principles and you have to part ways. When we were parting ways with my then majority party, National Rainbow Coalition, it was a very painful way of parting ways. I want to tell my colleagues and friends who are countenancing this situation to know that it always happens. You have to disagree in principle, and when you disagree in principle, you yield to your party to continue advancing the agenda nationally. Like, for instance, if this fight or this difficulty was to go on in perpetuity, I think the great suffering that Kenyans would bear, because the ruling party would be dysfunctional. I believe that if you have ambitions to run in future and form another party, this gives you an opportunity to create your own organization where others who will disagree with you may part ways. We went on to form another party called the ODM, and we are back here courtesy of another party, and the rest is history. So this is not a matter of life and death where you have to fight your party in perpetuity or to adopt a scorched earth policy. You have done a very good job leading when you had that privilege. You are still doing a good job by being members of this house. I think it is something that may not be either legal or illegal, but it's a political decision that this nation must move forward. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that both sides will find healing in this act and accept the new reality that we have to move forward as a nation and work for our people without bringing difficulty to the agenda of this House and the agenda of the nation. With those very few remarks, I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and let's work with what we have and the leaders that God has given us today. Thank you.
Okay. On this side, I think the majority side should actually have more. Yes. We should have more patience on the majority side, because that's where the turmoil is taking place. Senator Kihika. Senator Kihika, would you like to speak now? Okay.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to make just a few comments on what has taken place earlier today. And without obviously being cognizant of how you have ruled and knowing that I cannot and I'm not attacking what has been communicated, it's also important that I just ask, or I just pause, or I just state a few facts for the record, because it's important, and it is a house of record after all. I would hope that in the future, we would see more of really due process in these sorts of things. It's happened before on the other side of the aisle. But in that scenario, and the reason I bring it up is because the others have mentioned it before, so it's important that I also just make a note of it, or just state it, that when the previous leader of minority, Senator Wetangula, was initially removed by the NASA coalition, the ruling by the Speaker was that the decision had to be communicated by the minority whip, which clearly here today, that never happened. So it seems the rules of the game change as time passes, or perhaps as directions are given, but we go on. And what I would probably wish to state for those senators who have talked about we move on and let the House continue working, you shouldn't worry about that. Obviously, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here because I'm the senator of Nakuru County. And the decision this morning does not change that. So I will continue to work for the people of Nakuru County and to be an active senator in this House. But at the same time, it's important to also note that as my age mate there, granted, you should really, Senator Haniri, you should never really state the age of a lady because people might find out your age and then be able to determine mine.
Now you are protesting after the fact.
After the fact.
I gave you an opportunity to protest.
No, but I don't mind. I don't mind. Just don't say it again.
Out of the window. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, sorry. So anyway, as Senator Haniri and Senator Ochilo have stated here, it happens, I mean, it's politics. At the end of the day, we know, and it's clear, and it's obvious. When you have a list here that includes an independent senator in the House, it is a travesty of justice. But at the same time, we are just going to sit here and pretend and continue that it's business as usual. And we shall continue doing that. And it will happen again as it happened before, and it will happen in the future. But at the same time, don't try to gag us. Let us be able to just say it. So as we proceed, we also know that there was an order. There was an order this morning from the political parties dispute tribunal, and we know there was no reference made of it. So as we continue to just bend the law, continue with the fraud, and continue with everything, then perhaps we should not continue sitting here and pretending that as a parliament we are independent, because we are not. We are directed from other chambers, from other quarters, and that is why such a communication does not come from the whip, but comes from wherever you know it came from. But that's okay, that's for another day, it will happen to others. We move on. But we shall fight and continue fighting for our cause. And we are sure and we know, and it's no secret, that probably the reason we were replaced in a dictatorial manner and probably did not follow the proper procedure is because we are independent-minded. We shall continue to be independent-minded, and Mr. Speaker, as I sit, I shall leave, I will read a quote here from Senator...
What is it, Senator Perez?
Ted Kennedy. Why does Senator... Anyway. Calm down.
She's on a point of order. What is it? What is out of order?
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the senator for Nakuru to start telling this House how they were replaced in a dictatorial manner when all this House, all the communication did was to communicate
it was not, she has not, let me cut you short. She has not said that they were removed by the House in a dictatorial manner. He's talking about their removal elsewhere, which is our opinion, because when I sit here, I protect the House. So she has not broken any standing order. Proceed, Senator Kihika, you are quoting George F. Kennedy. Lieutenant Kennedy, yes.
Allow me to continue, because the sensitivity on the other side of the aisle is a bit concerning this morning. But grow some thick skin. We shall be here, and we shall continue moving. They are too sensitive. They keep rising. please inform.
Is what Senator Wetangula says, mourning more than the bereaved. What is it? Would you like to be informed by Senator Murkomen?
Absolutely. He has a wealth of knowledge that I would benefit from.
Just say yes or no, Senator. Senator Murkomen.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to inform Senator Kihika and consequently the House that the communication from our party, which is now public because it came to Parliament, Mr. Speaker, even as she says that that decision was done elsewhere, it's important for the House to know that our Speaker communicated 20 senators are allegedly participated in the signing of that OSTA document, and of the 20, Mr. Speaker, 1 is an independent. Yes. Meaning, Mr. Speaker, yes, when the Speaker retires to give his ruling, because we said we do not want to criticize the Speaker here, the Speaker said he's going to give a longer ruling in keeping with the standing orders, the way he did last time in the situation of Orengo and Wetangula. Mr. Speaker, it will be useful for the House to know in what circumstances does an independent be part and parcel of a signing of an OSTA of members of political party. So that, Mr. Speaker, that ruling should capture that issue in line with Standing Order 19. Because, Mr. Speaker, if, Mr. Speaker, there were only 19 senators who signed, you will understand, Mr. Speaker, that assuming even the coalition agreement between Jubilee and KANU is valid, Mr. Speaker, we would then be 38 members on the majority side who are of three political parties, Jubilee, PDR, and KANU. Meaning to host anybody, Mr. Speaker, you must get 20 signatures. But 20 signatures of members of the coalition. Mr. Speaker, I would really be very interested in your office can give clarification and the circumstance where an independent becomes a member of a political party. And Mr. Speaker, the last thing I inform Senator Kihika is that, Mr. Speaker, in that ruling of the Speaker, I will be more interested to know in what circumstances, Mr. Speaker, is the Speaker's House bound by court orders and orders of tribunal in matters, Mr. Speaker, that had been ruled, not about the procedure of the House, not about debate in the House, not about how Parliament works, but, Mr. Speaker, a process injuncted outside there, Speaker communicated, and I was there, Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record, when Senator Kihika served the Speaker, Mr. Speaker, with a forwarding letter and that communication from tribunal. The Speaker's office then tell us...
You see, Senator Murkomen,
just as a conclusion,
no, that's fine, but just for the record.
Yes.
First and foremost, from where I sit, the ruling has been made. What the Speaker said is that he will give reasons,
yes,
which is allowed. The decision is made, but the detailed reasons later.
Correct.
So that should be very
Correct,
clear.
Mr. Speaker.
And secondly, I don't know, that issue of service, you may want to...
No, it's not service in the technical sense of
because
law.
you can't serve the Speaker, you serve the clerk.
That's I'm saying, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, and you know service is a difficult area because
Mr.
service you serve if you are a process server or an advocate on record and that kind of thing. But anyway, let's not...
I'm just concluding there. I was saying, it's not service in the technical sense of law.
All
because if it was service, they
maybe
should have been
brought to the attention.
Process server. Yeah.
Okay.
When Senator Kihika forwarded the letter from the her letter, submitted her letter.
What is it, Senator Pogisio?
The communication.
But
I'll just go.
Let me conclude. We agreed.
Yeah.
We will hear you.
Yes, Speaker,
just conclude.
Let me conclude.
We'll
I just have 1 minute.
It's just a point of order on the same. So.
Mr. Speaker, I'm on communicate.
But he's also on a point of order.
He's on a point of information, Speaker.
Okay.
And I think he's...
Senator Murkomen, let's bear with Senator Pogisio.
It's just, Mr. Speaker, that the limit of information...
Yes.
It looks like my predecessor is opening debate and debating rather than just giving information, Speaker. And if they were together with Senator Susan, how could he be informing her of things that they did together, Speaker?
He's informing the House.
Very much together.
No, he's informing the House. Senator Pogisio, We said at the beginning that we have to handle this in a manner that helps us move forward, and it's unnecessary. The point is unnecessary.
Because I'm concluding, Mr. Speaker, if you give me 10 seconds.
You know, Senator Bogisho, you should understand, for Senator Murkomen to vacate that seat, the least we can do is to give him a hearing. So you can't complain he's taking too long. In fact, if he talked longest and you didn't talk, and that's what I did with Senator Kangata. If Senator Susan talked longest and Senator Kangata didn't talk, I would rather live with that than the other way around.
So, Mr. Speaker, let me just conclude. In that information, Mr. Speaker, we would be just interested in knowing, because I was saying a letter which was forwarded, forwarding the tribunal's decision on, Mr. Speaker, the participation of the KANU, 3 members of KANU as part of their coalition. So when the Speaker gives his ruling, we would be interested also House, Mr. Speaker.
Reasons for the ruling, yes.
Reasoned ruling, because that's what he said, Mr. Speaker, the detailed ruling. Once he gives that detailed ruling, Mr. Speaker, we'll be interested to know at what instance does a Speaker obey those kinds of orders, Mr. Speaker, and in what instance does a Speaker reject. Lastly, in the communication of Wetangula Orengo, or Orengo Wetangula, as the case may be, the Speaker rejected, Mr. Speaker, communication that came from NASA coalition that was signed by someone else other than the whip, Mr. Speaker, or the majority leader. And in that regard, Mr. Speaker, the Speaker was so firm that he had the minority side had to go again for a meeting and come within the standing order. So, Mr. Speaker, we'll be happy to see that. We are Democrats. We are here, Mr. Speaker, as I've said before. You are my student. The Lord blessed us to come here. You never know, tomorrow I might be somewhere else with you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator Nyamunga. You know what he means. I'm sure you know what he means. He's on record many times, so...
For the record, Mr. Speaker, I'll just say I was your student.
Yes, I think that's what they wanted to hear. But these are some of the things that you can overlook, because Senator Murkomen has been consistently on record. It has not been in dispute. So, Senator Kihika,
I was actually just concluding.
Yes.
And I'm glad and have been informed, as I stated earlier, when you have a list of 20 people and one is an independent, then it's problematic. When you also have another list signed by 21 people and nothing is mentioned, another 20 people, then you wonder, how is it that our total number is 38, but now we have a list of 40 and no reference is made? But I look forward, like Senator Murkomen has stated, to the reasoned ruling by the Speaker. I hope it will be here sooner than later.
All right.
But yes, I was about to actually, before I sit, quote one Ted Kennedy, who, before he passed on, was a senator.
Order, Senator Kaniri, Senator Mazayo.
Oh, okay.
Proceed, Senator Kihika.
Thank you. So as I was saying, because we know that the reason what happened, or the reason that there was a coup, is maybe because we are a little more independent-minded than would be okay in some quarters. So as I sit, I will read these.
What is it, Senator? You have really interrupted Senator Kihika.
I don't know what's with these people. Sure.
What is... yeah, you know, Senator Mazayo, and I'm not trying to gag you. I'll still allow you. But at the beginning, I said, let's try and manage this. You can say the same things and manage ourselves so that we make progress.
Bwana Speaker, hoja nidhamu, Bwana Speaker. Kwa sababu nataka kumkosoa mahali.
Yes.
Bwana Speaker, nilikuwa nauliza, kulikuwa na mapinduzi vile ambavyo inaambiwa kwamba kulikuwa na coup.
According to her,
manake, kwa
in the party,
tunavyoelewa,
that's she says, according to her in the party,
yani kunakuwa na mapinduzi, mageuzi ambayo si ya kihalali.
Senator Mazayo, remember we said we distinguish between party activities and House proceedings. Senator Kihika has managed to maneuver the issue of the House carefully up to now. Her views about the party is something that perhaps she could have a latitude, of course, within the rules also, to have her own opinion. Because if there was a coup in our party, this is not the place where the party where we can discuss that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm really trying to finish, but these mourners who are mourning more than the bereaved just keep interrupting. But anyway, they would, if there was a coup in our party, they are not members of our party, so they wouldn't know. So I'm just responding to the point of order. But anyway, like I said, sometimes it's difficult when you're independent-minded, and sometimes it's difficult when you see things differently. However, I want to also still thank the senators in the Jubilee Party who had given me the privilege to serve them as the whip in the House, so I want to thank them. I know there was a lot of coercion, there was a lot of intimidation, but I understand, like we were told earlier this morning, it is politics, and that's just the way it is. So, with the cause that I have been pursuing, I will continue to even pursue it more vigorously. I know one of the issues that they had with me was because I stood up for the people of Kariobangi, and I'm told I'm a whip, I should not be able to speak on evictions in Kariobangi. So here is the quote from Ted Kennedy as I sit. For all those whose cares have been our concern, the work goes on. The cause endures, the hope still lives, and the dream shall never die. So we may be down, but we are not out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Malala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a sage once said that those who live...
Order.
Mr. Speaker, there are problems.
Order.
Depending.
Proceed, Senator.
Mr. Speaker, it depends with the pronunciation. We have different pronunciations. A sage once said,
Proceed, Senator Malala.
Those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. Mr. Speaker, on this particular issue of the removal of Senator Murkomen as the majority leader and Senator Susan Kihika, the chief whip, I choose to comment in silence because I live in a glass house. I would want to encourage them. And I've been following Senator Murkomen's tweets of encouragement, Bible verses every evening. Today, I would want to encourage him to read 1 Corinthians 15:58, which says, therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm, let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. So I would like to encourage my brothers, because we are young leaders. Today it is you. Tomorrow it will be Cleophas Malala being removed as the deputy minority leader. So I wouldn't want to throw stones, yet I live in a glass house. I would want to encourage young leaders, stay firm, grip tight onto the rope of hope, and you'll succeed. Second, I would also like to congratulate the leader of majority, Honorable Samuel Pogisho, upon his appointment as the leader of majority, and also congratulate the president for considering having a pact with the KANU party, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker...
Is this the place?
Because upon appointment
of... the congratulations part.
Yes. Yes, because...
Is this really the place?
The leader of majority is a member of KANU, and therefore he has joined government, and I want to congratulate the president for effecting the coalition between KANU and Jubilee government, and the fruits of the coalitions are seated here through Honorable Pogisho, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the president on that particular issue. Because, Mr. Speaker, in the past, we have seen Governments that have performed are those governments which considered even the opposition and other parties to be part of the government. You remember the Grand Coalition government. This, according to me, is the best performing government since we got independence, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we would like to encourage the President to consider even opening up this Jubilee government to other parties. We have parties like Ford Kenya, who should be encouraged to get into government. We have brilliant minds like Senator Wetangula, who will help this government execute mandates, Mr. Speaker, that they are supposed to execute, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have parties like ANC. We have parties like Maendeleo Chap Chap. We have parties like ODM, Mr. Speaker, who should be given an opportunity to be part of this government, because the key role of government, Mr. Speaker, is to serve its citizenry. That does not say that we want everybody to be in government so that we do not have opposition.
How relevant is that to the communication from the chair? So I'm listening carefully.
Yeah.
Is that all? Maybe, yeah. Yeah. Just.
You interrupted me, Mr. Speaker.
I didn't interrupt you. I stopped you from drifting away.
I was concluding on that matter, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. What is it, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, I just want to seek direction, because it's now past 4:30. Till what time? Because of the other
maybe
items.
1, 2. I'm actually finishing. I just
Okay.
want maybe one more, and Senator Kangata, and then we'll close.
And a point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Time is up.
Point of order.
Time is up. What is it, Senator Okchilo Ayako?
Mr. Speaker, you have said time without end that this is a house of record. Is it in order for Senator Malala to say you interrupted him? I'm yet to... The Speaker
He's out
does
of
not
order.
interrupt anybody.
He's out of order, but I corrected him. I hope he realized. I didn't interrupt you. I called you to order and prevented you from drifting away. Summarize and finish.
So as I summarize, I would just want to correct this notion that when a party like KANU joins government, that does not mean that they relinquish their oversight mandate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is very clear that we have separation of powers between different arms of government. The executive will execute its mandate as the executive, and as legislators, Mr. Speaker, we are mandated to oversight the executive as a whole, but not at the majority and minority side. So I would like to encourage Senator Pogisho to know that you are not only a representative of the executive, but you are here to ensure that we oversight executive so that it performs its mandate as enshrined in the Constitution. Thank you.
Very well, Senator Dr. Langat. And yes, Senator Mazai, I hope you had your time. And you spoke in eloquent Kiswahili.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, very well. Let's make it 3 minutes for the remaining speakers.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would also like to add my voice in this one, because I'm a member of the Jubilee Party. Just as the ruling had been made and extensive one will be made later, I would have also wished that some issues which I would have mentioned according to the standing order, because of time I might not mention, Mr. Speaker, that is in Article 19, where it says that a senator elected under paragraph 1 may be removed by majority of the votes of all the senators belonging to the majority party. I would have added that one because one of the members that have been mentioned that they gave their signatories and attended the meeting, Mr. Speaker, as Mr. Murkomen said, is an independent candidate. So those are the areas that might finally make the ruling appear as if it is weak. Even the society is watching us, Mr. Speaker. We are seeing through social media the same things being mentioned. And I would like to encourage this particular House through your position, Mr. Speaker, that before any ruling is done, extensive and exhaustive research on the same matters is done. Otherwise, I want to say, for Senator Kihika and Murkomen, the life has not come to an end. We've received encouragement from other senators on the same, and I want to say, all things happen for the good anyway. I want to tell, I was really surprised also by my fellow senator from West Bokot. He has really taken position so hurriedly, and I want to say that you have really done according to Matthew chapter 11, verses 12, that since the time of John the Baptist up to now, the kingdom of God has suffered fall, and the fall and taken it by force. And I'm somehow imagining that you are almost taking it by force, and I just want to say, Mr. Speaker, that before you adjust us fully, let us wait for the rulings from other sides.
What is it, Senator Bogisho? You've been accused of taking the position
How
by
much
violence.
magnanimity is required in the House?
Yes.
For the senator from Bomet to purport that I have taken by force or using his quote from the Bible. Mr. Speaker, can the senator use the Bible properly? so, Mr. Speaker, I mean, the Bible has got a lot of things, but that's not one of the things that applies.
Let's leave it there. I think that was his interpretation of the Bible
That was my
as it
interpretation.
applies to your situation. But let's just leave it there.
Yeah, I'll make my comments when, as we progress. I would also like to say, Mr. Speaker, as I've been listening, I would like to encourage Senator Malala for having been able to see some changes in Jubilee. However, he had not commended the same when their party was removing Senator Wetangula in a very painful process. So I tend to think he should remove the locks in his eyes so that he be able to see the speck in other people's eyes. Otherwise, I want to say, I don't want to,
All right,
to conclude.
we have to, yes, thank you. Are you done?
But me being a Jubilee member, Mr. Speaker, I want to say we have not exhausted the matter. We shall continue fighting for the same until the right journal is followed and all the means are exhausted democratically, Mr. Speaker. Thank
Absolutely. You. Nothing stops your party from pursuing whatever remedies. Senator Mutula, you have spoken. You're good. Would you want to say a word or two?
Thank you, Speaker. Senator Malala has spoken. First, I want to say that Senator Fogisio served as minister under ODM Kenya then, and I personally detest the word minority because I don't think anybody should be referred to as minority. For those who have been removed, I've said here before that we are serving temporary interests of political parties. They are not hereditary. They can be taken away any time. For the members who have extended an olive branch to the new leadership, we still have to survive. Counties are counting on us to continue doing their business. But, Mr. Speaker, it's important we say, as we were debating the political party's amendment bill here, and you're the one who moved, I remember, Speaker, whether you're the one who moved the amendment. We had some issues. I personally had an issue about the amendment, which caused the breaking away of so many political parties, and I had a proposal for amendment. You stood on a point of order and you told me to amend later. But you can see I had a point there that the amendments were done in a hurry. When we were debating the election laws amendment bill, you were here as majority leader. We spent a lot of time here. I tried to filibuster until midnight. I was told so many things. Mr. Speaker, while we do our things here as leaders, let's remember that one time you can be here, one time you can be the other side. And therefore, I think that humility should count for something. I'm asking Senator Fogisio and your new team, let's be humble. If they want to take away your seat, be humble and say, provided they don't take away the seat you are elected for, then I don't think that we should have any other feelings about these particular seats that we are offered by political parties. We should be magnanimous if they are there. If they are not there, life moves on. The sun will still set. Said some very famous guy, who I can't remember now. Thank you.
Very well. Senator Mazayo. Well, I'll move this to Senator Were. You also wanted to say something? Please, let's be brief. Let's be brief.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana
Now
Spika,
that this matter has got all this time, I hope we'll exhaust it and so that we put it behind us.
Bwana Spika, kwanza nataka kumpatia kongole ndugu yangu Sami, Senator Sami, kwa sababu ya kuchaguliwa kama kiongozi walio wengi. La pili ni kwamba wahenga walisema maji yakimwagika hayazoleki. Kwa hiyo nataka kumpatia nguvu dada yangu Kihika na ndugu yangu Murkomen ya kwamba yametendeka yale yaliyotendeka na wakubaliane nayo, sio kuhanya-hanya pale na pale. La pili ni kwamba wao ni maseneta, mmoja ni wa Elgeyo Marakwet, mwingine ni wa Nakuru. Wafanye kazi na juhudi zao zitawaleta tena na kuonekana na wale waliowapigia kura kama maseneta watenda kazi. Bwana Spika, tuna msomi mmoja aliyeishi miaka mingi iliyokwisha, lakini sasa alifariki na mambo ya Mwenyezi Mungu. Alikuwa anaitwa Micheveli. Alisema ya kwamba usijifanye mwerevu kuliko bosi wako. Kama mimi niko katika party ya Ford Kenya, siwezi leo kuwa mwerevu zaidi ya ndugu yangu Wetangula Moses. Kwa sababu nikiwa mwerevu zaidi ya ndugu yangu Masika, leo ataniambia wewe nitakuchapa kiboko, na uwezo huo ako nao. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, tunajifundisha mengi kwa wale wahenga walioenda zamani. Bwana Spika, vile vile bosi wako ni bosi wako hata kama hukubaliani naye, kwa sababu mbinu na njia na akili ako nazo, ndio sababu ni bosi wako. Kwa hiyo mimi langu ni kuatia moyo ndugu zangu na kuambia kwamba sote sisi tulioko hapa tuko hapa kwa minajili ya party zetu. Mimi nikiwa niko ODM, na ikiwa mimi ni lazima niketi kwa niketi vizuri kwa hii party, ni lazima nimheshimu baba Raila Amolo Odinga. Bila hiyo siwezi kuketi hapa katika hili bunge la Senate. Hiyo ni wazi kabisa. Kwa sababu tunasema ya kwamba ikiwa wewe hutaheshimu kiongozi wa party yako, basi huna haki ya kuketi katika hili bunge la Senate ama bunge la kitaifa. Kwa sababu bila kupewa ruksa inakuwa haiwezekani wewe kuchukua tikiti na kuja hapa. Sote tuko hapa kwa sababu ya minajili ya tikiti za pati zetu. Na kama imefika wakati kwamba wakati wa siasa umeisha, pati yako imekukataa, imesema usichukue kitu kama hichi, ni jambo la aibu na tunaliona kwa mara ya kwanza tokeo huru
You seem to be giving civic education on political party discipline. It has nothing to do with the communication of the speaker, for which I allowed observations.
Kama Bwana Speaker,
if you want to educate the public how to be loyal to their parties, you know there is an organization called Center for Multi-Party Democracy that helps parties.
Asante Bwana Speaker. Langu mimi ni kuatia moyo na kuambia yaliyotendeka yametendeka, maji yamemwagika, hayazuleki, na tukubaliane tuendelee. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Thank you. In fact, the CMD is chaired by your colleague Abshiro Alake. You can have programs when the Senate is not sitting. But thank you, Senator Matsayo. I like your eloquence in Swahili and very wise words. Senator Were, quickly. The last two will be Senator Kangata and Senator Fogesio. What is it? Is that Senator
Mr.
Kajwang?
Speaker, yeah, for avoidance of doubt, I wanted to make you aware that I'm present and I've been raising my hand so that you.
Sorry, yeah, I've just said, but you know, initially I was seeing the roof of your head. Now, yes, Senator Kajwang, yes. Senator Were, I'm going round like this. The last two will be Senator Kangata and Senator Fogesio.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for permission to comment on the communication from the Speaker earlier earlier made. I would first like to begin by congratulating Senator Pogisio Samuel of Kanu and Senator Farhia Ali for coming into leadership. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it's always good to remember something called process, and as a House, we should not forget that we are here because of something called process. So as the Speaker looks at his detailed ruling, let him factor in the issue of process so that we are setting a good precedent for not just this Senate, but for future engagements, not just in this House, but in this country. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I also want to encourage my colleague, Senator Kihika and Senator Murkomen, that it is not the end of the world. I have been there myself, and I think I'm stronger now than I was before. So yes, I'd like to encourage them that all is not lost. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, Senator Were. Senator Rose Nyamunga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise just to make a comment on the issue that we have at hand discussing since in the morning sitting. Mr. Speaker, I think that Senate is a house of honor, and Senate should be seen as a moderating house. And also it is important how we take issues, because some of these issues—
Senator Sakaja, approach the chair.
Some of these issues, in my view, Mr. Speaker, they are not permanent. Being in this house is just a privilege for a particular time. We can be elected from time to time to be here. We can be nominated like some of us are. And really the agenda that we should have is always to deliver on the mandate that is given to us. So some of the seats and leadership positions that are given to members from time to time, it's just an additional to the actual mandate. So, Mr. Speaker, I think some of us have been in the opposition for a very long time. And because of that, we have learned a lot of things. We have learned to let go and let go. We have learned to live, to fight another day. So some of these things, we should treat them with a lot of caution. We should, because we are an example to people outside there, we are an example as an upper house, a more sober house, a house that should be able to see things in a more moderate and sober manner. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate Senator Pogisio for the opportunity that is given to him. And I just want to advise him, or just to add my voice to say that it is important to honor some of the leaders that you have around you, because it is important. And without recognition of the leadership, or even the higher leadership, even the presidency, they are very, very important seats that we must always. I stand guided, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided, Mr.
As you have seen, I have really tried to make sure that we stay away from extraneous issues. It's good for us.
Mr. Speaker, we are given this house. It is a house of honor, and how we conduct ourselves should also be of honor. I want to congratulate Mr. Pogisio and the rest of the leaders, and just to let everybody know here, that is not a matter of life and death, and this opportunity comes and goes, even whatever level, it comes and goes, and it should not be like a must that you have to be there, and if it is not you, it cannot be somebody else. That's not acceptable, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Very well. I think I'm now done on this side. Any other person from the minority side? Senator Yako, had you spoken? No.
Yes, except I didn't congratulate Senator Pogisio and Senator Kanata.
All right, okay.
I congratulate them, and I'm sorry for not having done so. Let's continue in the same spirit.
All right, Senator Kajwang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And for avoidance of doubt, I still subscribe to the minority side. It's just the seating arrangement that placed me on this side.
Yeah, these are interesting times, because I first saw Senator Kangata at that corner. Now it's Senator Kajwang on the other corner.
No,
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is very brief, because earlier on, Senator Linturi said that the remarks we are making are for posterity. It is not to challenge. It is not to color the ruling of the Speaker, which has been done in finality, having considered all the factors that were presented to him. I wish to congratulate Senator Pogisio for the responsibility that he has been granted. We share some common stories about Uganda, stories which might be unparliamentary if I was to talk about them at this point. But I want to encourage Senator Pogisio that you are leading a team that is divided, and your first mandate is to unite your team, so that at the end of the day, that team, the strength of its unity, combined with the minority side, can result in a stronger Senate that can continue to draw respect from the public the way it has done since its formation in the 2010 Constitution. Mr. Speaker, also allow me to congratulate Senator Murkomen. Many people have taken it for granted that Senator Murkomen, where he reached, having been a leader of majority in this House, that it was a mean feat. At 41, 42 years of age, he broke the glass ceiling. And we must accept that he aspired and he managed to succeed to get to a job, a very difficult job, at a difficult time, when we were resisting, when we had refused to come to this House. He could have had several challenges, but he has done his bit. I want to thank him for the part that he has played. We shall continue playing football together, and I believe that at his age, he still has a lot to offer this country. In parliaments all over, Jeremy Corbyn is now sitting in the backbench. He has been the leader of Labour for so long. Someone else has taken over. Theresa May, having been Prime Minister, is now sitting in the backbench. Mr. Speaker, I have had the privilege of leading the Public Accounts Committee in this House for the last 3 sessions. I am now in the backbench congratulating and cheering on the team that has taken up that particular task. I want to challenge the leaders of this House, Senator Pogisio, Senator Orengo, and the rest of us who are in House leadership. This House faces challenges which, if you're going to get into a post-COVID-19 discussion, Mr. Speaker, the consensus is that the bureaucracy of politics and government in this country is too expensive. And people are looking for low-hanging fruits that can be plucked off. And I can tell you that with the drama that has been coming out of the Senate, there are many people in this country who think that Senate is not serving any useful purpose. And so when it comes to cutting down the fat that is the bureaucracy of politics and government, it might be the Senate. The leadership of this House, let us be relevant in the constitutional discussions that are going on. Let us be relevant in oversight and monitoring of whatever is going on in counties. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you, having been chair of PAC, that the post-mortem approach is not going to help this House, and it is for the leadership to come up with a proper framework to engage senators in monitoring and evaluation. But more importantly, let us review our standing orders. Everyone seems to have a different interpretation of the standing orders. And that is a matter that is being disputed in the Public Accounts Committee, the matter that is being disputed in the leadership of the majority side of the House. We have a golden opportunity after 8 years to review our standing orders, to make them fit for purpose. We don't have to copy and paste whatever is happening in the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, I believe the leadership is up to that task. We as followers, we shall be there to encourage them, to remind them, and to whip them whenever the occasion requires.
Well, very, very inspiring remarks from Senator Kajwang. Next is Senator Wambua. You have not been around. We have spent the whole afternoon on this matter. Anyway, I'll grant you 1 minute because you are a late comer. You must have gone for tea or lunch.
Mr. Speaker, kindly make it 3 minutes.
Proceed.
If you will. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to, first of all, congratulate Senator Pogisio on his elevation to the position of Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, it will be remembered on a light note that I refer to Senator Pogisio as Wiper Chairman, now on loan to KANU. And so I want to congratulate him for this new position that he has gotten. Also congratulate Senator Kangata on getting the position of Majority Whip. Mr. Speaker, I want to say 2 things. One, that at the end of the day, we are the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. We are currently facing 3 serious enemies. we have COVID-19, we have floods, we have locusts. The Speaker, these enemies do not know the differences that we have politically. They don't care whether we belong to Jubilee or to Wiper or to ODM or to whichever political formation. The first challenge, and it's a serious challenge to the new leadership, majority leadership, is to try as much as possible to put this House back to order. So, Mr. Speaker, together we confront these three enemies, all of which affect our counties, affect the people that we represent in this Senate. Mr. Speaker, I want to also say that for the
what
team,
is it, Senator Mazayo?
Mr. Speaker, if you notice that Senator Petronina is not wearing a mask properly, her nose is open, and secondly, the deputy leader of minority, my young brother, Senator Malala, is sitting on a place which is not marked, that you can sit. That is where you are not supposed to sit. And they are discussing or they are consulting, which
Thank
is
you.
very good.
Thank you, Senator
But they're
Mazayo.
not in order. Are they in order to sit like that?
They are
and
not.
discuss? Thank you.
They are not in order, Senator Malala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Not only are you not supposed to sit in a seat that is not designated, but also you should not leave your designated seat. And next time I will make very drastic orders, because I've seen we have started taking this for granted. Right?
Yes.
We might have to fumigate you and seat and take you out for a while.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided.
Yes.
Though I was consulting with Senator.
There are no consultations during this time.
Senator Petronila on party issues. We are
Order.
members
That
of ANC.
even makes it worse.
Yeah.
This is not the place to do political party caucus meetings.
Because I've also consulted you, I've consulted the clerk.
Order, order. Sit down, Senator. Resume your seat, Senator Malala. I think you're making fun of a very serious issue, and we are at the forefront of preaching to Kenyans why they should take these things seriously. Very well. Senator Were, be warned accordingly. What is it, Senator Fogisio?
Speaker, it's actually a matter of procedure. And Mr. Speaker, you may have to make this clear from your where you sit. When people refer to the person in the chair as you, or you did this and that, and there must be a separation of who the senator for Tharaka Nithi is, and when they're in the chair, and who they are in the chair. So, Mr. Speaker, may you make that clear?
Has there been a reference in that letter? Yeah, because this is not this, as Senator Pogisio said. When you saw the list, resume your seat, Senator Malala. When you see the list of senators attending today's sitting, did you see the senator for Tharaka Nithi?
Mr. Speaker, I stand corrected. I will continuously address you as the chair.
Absolutely.
But, Mr. Speaker, I also want, for purposes of clarity, Mr. Speaker, to advise this House in this season of COVID-19, how then, as a leader, would I consult the membership of my coalition?
Order,
Mr.
Senator
Speaker,
Malala.
it's very important because there are certain matters which are emerging on the floor of the House, and I need consultation with the members.
Order, Senator Malala. Order. For the avoidance of doubt, senators must, during this extraordinary season, retain the seats designated for them until the end of that sitting. Secondly, movement within the chamber is not allowed. Period. Thirdly, approaching the chair, unless under the direction of the chair, in which even in that case the 1.5 meter distance should be maintained, but also if it is urgent or private, the matter of approach. I'm talking about approaching the chair, not approaching Senator Were. Order. Fuck Senator Malala. It's only that maybe I am in a different disposition. I should have done something greater. But you see, let's finish this discussion so that we move on with the matters that are ahead of us. I think we had exhausted. Senator Wambua, yeah, please finish. Please finish.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was just saying that I also want to take the opportunity to congratulate the outgoing leadership, Senator Murkomen and my best friend, Senator Kihika, for the time they are put in as leader of majority and chief whip. This, of course, is not the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new era, and together we pull as we serve this country to a better destination. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. Thank you. Good summary. I think now we are done with this minority side. Majority side, I said Senator Sakaja, and then we'll hear Senator Kangata, and Senator Pogisha will close for us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to first congratulate the new leadership from the majority side, starting with the new leader of majority, Senator Pogisho, Senator Kangata, the whip, and Senator Faria. Ali, in fact, Mr. Speaker, Senator Faria's elevation to that point is a thing of joy. Number one, we have in the leadership now have minorities represented. And number two, as a first-time senator, the appointment even came to a surprise when we elected her yesterday. We are confident that this team is up to the task and that you will not let us down, Senator Pogisho and Senator Kangata. Mr. Speaker, allow me also to really thank Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, the former leader of majority, and Senator Kihika for the leadership that they've shown us as a majority side. Mr. Speaker, they have been diligent. They have played their role very well, for most part. Mr. Speaker, even where we might have disagreed many times on issues, I think as a chairman of a committee, I must thank them because they had confidence in me to perform certain duties and others not to perform. But it is the leadership journey that they have to go through. Senator Murkomen has distinguished himself as a very vocal champion for devolution and for this House, Mr. Speaker. Senator Kihika also has distinguished herself as a very thorough whip. And I'd like to encourage the incoming leadership that don't think it is business as usual. You also need to distinguish yourselves and cut a niche for yourself. You need to up...
Order.
You need
Order,
to up,
Senator Junior.
You need to up the tempo and also still oversight government. You know, Mr. Speaker, I need to make it clear that whatever happened, of course, it was a decision by members of Jubilee, and I was in that meeting. And indeed, we were 20. I've seen many questions being asked about the numbers. We were 20. It was a decision made. Everybody was invited for the meeting. In fact, Mr. Speaker, you know, I started my political career at 19, you know, at the University of Nairobi. And at the same time, during President Kibaki's campaign. I'm very young in this House, but in my few years in politics, since the time I was 19 to the date that I'm 35, I have never imagined, Mr. Speaker, today if Kalonzo Musyoka, His Excellency, calls me, I will go and listen. If ANC leader calls me, out of respect and humility, it is unconscionable for anyone to be invited by the President of the Republic and not attend.
Order, Senator Sakaja.
I have said that, Mr. Speaker. I will leave it at that. I will not go into those details. But, Mr. Speaker, something I must impress upon members of the majority side. When we say oversight, Mr. Speaker, I have been a chairman of a party. I don't think, even when those who question minority question it, I don't care. But, Mr. Speaker, you can oversight and you can question the government respectfully. You can question issues, but not personality of your party leader or of anybody, Mr. Speaker. It is out of turn. Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage Senator Pogisho not to give people the thinking now that there will be no oversight from the Senate. We must oversight government, and we must stand on our conscience. Mr. Speaker, I am on record. I have voted against a report in this House where I was the only Jubilee senator who voted against it because I felt out of my conscience that report, Mr. Speaker, actually I voted for it. Everybody tried to fail it from CPIC. But I felt out of my conscience it would not be right for me to go with the majority side. That is allowed. You're elected and you have a conscience. I have 2.3 million voters. Senator Pogisho, you have voters. And we have a future in this country. But Mr. Speaker, let us be able, and we convince the executive, and they need to know that oversight by the Senate will be done by both the majority and the minority side. Supporting government does not mean keeping quiet when something is not going well. We shall say the truth, but in a respectful way, in a humble way, and, Mr. Speaker, in a way that is forthright. That must continue. So, Mr. Speaker, I know our colleagues are, the one who go to court and they are doing all those things. It is within their rights. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm reminded of a phrase by Suetonius to Julius Caesar in the 10th of January, 49 BC, when Julius Caesar he had gone against the Senate, and he led his army across the river Rubicon, where, of course, they come out, they say, crossing the Rubicon. But, Mr. Speaker, it reached a point, and Julius said, Alea iacta est. The die is cast. These positions are not owned by us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is even not about the legality or illegality. It is just about how you relate within your party. So you can go around, but if you've lost the faith of your party leader and you're not in such terms, Mr. Speaker, let us continue work as a Senate. I want to encourage Susan Kihika and Murkomen. Their futures are bright. Senator Murkomen has reached a high place politically by being leader of majority, a seat that in this House has only been held by you before, Mr. Speaker. It's a high position. He needs to redefine himself or to configure himself in a way that he do not burn bridges at this age, Mr. Speaker. It is not wise for us, even at this, the president is the president, the deputy is the deputy. Today, if the deputy president calls me, I will go quickly, Mr. Speaker. In fact, the Swahili say, mtu akatai muito unakata uitwalo, in quotes, Mr. Speaker. Let them, ukatai muito unakata uitiwalo.
They have understood, Senator.
They have understood, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
My Swahili is Nairobi Swahili.
Yes.
But, Mr. Speaker, it might be exciting right now to make noise, to sound radical, to insult, to use terrible terms against the state or against the president, but we have a long journey. The politics, Mr. Speaker, of the future is not that kind of politics. So I'd just like to urge them, please, there is no need to burn bridges. We want to work together. We will continue working together, Mr. Speaker. In those many remarks, I hope the leader of majority has heard Senator Mutula asked, or else. Yes, if they fail as well, wembe ni ule ule. We will go on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Finally, let's hear from the two. Senator Kangata.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for affording this opportunity to make my observation on this issue. I will speak on only two issues. Issue number one is to congratulate my two predecessors. And number two, I'll also maybe address some of the issues that they have raised.
You have only one predecessor.
Yeah, I sorry.
The other one is a predecessor of Senator Pogisho.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. I apologize. Now, on the second issue, we respond to some of the issues that my colleagues have raised. So I start with the first issue concerning the service that has been rendered by my two colleagues. My sister, Kihika Susan, Senator for Nakuru, has served this House very well. She is very well educated. She has always been in the House pushing the agenda. I have also deputized her for the last 3 or so years, and I can vouch that she has a very good future politically, and also she is very competent. I have learned a lot the way she has been carrying herself in this House. I will endeavor to do my best to see whether I can be able to match her. I am not so sure because her shoes are quite big, but I want to congratulate her. Let me also congratulate my former classmate, that is my brother Murkomen. He has been a very good majority leader in this House. It is true, he achieved that position by sheer hard work, and therefore, I will say that I have no doubt he will continue serving this House in any other position that he may get. Let me now go to the second issue. Some issues have been raised by previous speakers. Issue number one, Mr. Speaker, sir, is the issue concerning a purported court order.
About?
That court order is said to have been served on the office of the Speaker, purportedly injuncting the so-called coalition between KANU and Jubilee Party. Mr. Speaker, when I look at that document, first, this House was not a party to that proceeding. There was no name of the Senate. The Speaker is not a party to that proceedings. And I am not so sure how that order could bind this House. Number two, as you rightly stated,
you know, Senator Kangata, I offered very good guidance. But can I hear, what is your point of order, Senator Mutula Kilonzo, and then Senator Wambua?
I mean, the problems in Jubilee are a problem to all of us. But, Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Kangata, who is a distinguished lawyer, to bring out those issues in the manner that he has? Because it's not part of the communication. Half of us don't know what he's talking about. And you put you, the Speaker, in a very compromising position to either have to address him, because you are the one who is purportedly to have been served. Mr. Speaker, could you please direct him? Otherwise, the information should come to us so that we can also help if there's a problem with the service of the order. But it's not part of the communication. Thank you.
Senator Wambua.
Speaker, I'm just wondering, Senator Irungu Kangata is making reference to court documents. We've not seen those documents. Those documents are not being served on, Mr. Speaker, and you made a ruling and a direction that let us not go to the merits or the demerits of the process whose outcome is the appointment of Senator Pogisio as majority leader and Senator Kangata as chief whip. Why are we going there, Mr. Speaker?
Senator Kangata.
Can I respond?
And your colleague, Senator Pogisio. The sentiments I made at the beginning were actually to the two of you are the biggest beneficiaries. Because you expect the aggrieved party, which you are not, to be the one, raising issues. And you have to be careful because, as I said, this seat is not personal. It's not personal to Senator Lusaka as Speaker. It's not personal to whoever sits here on his behalf. This is an institutional seat. The ruling has been made. A determination has been made. Secondly, I said you can make observations concerning the communication without challenging it, So I would even have expected that from, in fact, Senator Kihika, your predecessor has done much better than you have done, than you're doing now. Which order are you talking about?
Yes.
The Speaker did not mention a court order. So why are you introducing extraneous issues?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I apologize.
And I also made very clear remarks and said the way we operate as Parliament, we are not guided or we are not directed by other arms of government. We are not directed by the executive, we are not directed by the judiciary, and if there is a decision from another arm of government that is conveyed to us, there are procedures and standing orders to be followed.
Yeah,
so you are not in court. You cannot come here and start arguing in favor of judiciary. And if the judiciary wants to talk to Parliament, there are ways of doing so, and they haven't talked to us. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, just to inform the House that the letter that I presented...
There are no letters. Please just comment.
No, there was a letter.
Actually, if I were you, I would not have spoken today. If I were you, I would have said thank you and I'll do my job and sit down. Yeah.
No, you just, Mr. Speaker.
But talk.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, there's
But
a
talk.
reason, Mr.
Talk.
Speaker, I agree. It's only that I thought it may be good that some of the issues that have been raised.
Which issues?
I mentioned.
There's no dispute.
I will not, let me say thank you. And I want to say that we shall do our best to continue with the business of the House and also continue with the good spirit that has been done by our two previous colleagues. And thank you.
Very well. Senator Pogisio.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, this is very difficult speaking here with the mask on and everything. But I'll do my best, Speaker, to be clear. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the majority side for having the confidence to vote for me and my team to be in the leadership of this House, giving me the opportunity to serve as the majority leader, and Senator Kangata, and Senator Dulo, and Senator Farhia, so that, Mr. Speaker, we have a new team. I want to use the opportunity to congratulate them, but also to thank the leadership of the Jubilee Party, Speaker, in meeting. And just for the record, Speaker, we had a meeting, and the meeting was attended by the members who came. Speaker, I just wanted to, I don't want to respond to things that were said, including, Mr. Speaker, the fact that about KANU and so on. Speaker, I just want to mention that, that when my predecessor, Senator Murkomen, and the whip and the other team were elected, Mr. Speaker, KANU was in that meeting, and KANU voted, and so did the other members who were mentioned. And Mr. Speaker, when it's now time for KANU, Mr. Speaker, these matters want to be raised as though there's a new process. There is not a new process, it's the same process, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Pogisio.
Mr. Speaker, I want to move to, I just want to make that clear, Speaker, that please, we have a situation where some people have expressed some things, and I was just trying to make it
But the
rest.
chair has not put you on spot to respond, because that would have been the case if the chair thought perhaps issues are arising that maybe require further reflection. But anyway, freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Freedom of
Mr.
speech.
Speaker, if information goes out, it looks like it is the truth. And if the contrary information is not given, Speaker, sometimes people take that to mean there's a truth. And so, Speaker, for those who are listening out there who don't know about what we are doing, Speaker, they think the truth has been said. And we would like, Mr. Speaker, to use the opportunities as well to respond sometimes to the people who are in general public who think that there was no quorum and that there were fewer people and that the other people were there who are outside the meeting were more than those who are inside the meeting, and this is very contradictory, Mr. Speaker. If the nation hears that, they might think, truly speak like they said about a coup. But, Mr. Speaker, the truth is there are two lists, there were certain lists, and we don't know where those signatures came from. So when you say that you have more people and you have more signatures, Mr. Speaker, when the process was there for a first lot, we can ask ourselves the same questions, Speaker. Yeah, we can say how many people were there, how many signatures were there. And so we just want to put it on record, Mr. Speaker, that we are duly elected by sitting and a meeting, and His Excellency the President, who is there for the party leader, Speaker, chaired the meeting, and for that reason, Mr. Speaker, anything else will be, if anybody wants to know the details have already been given to the chair. And so, Mr. Speaker, follow from that, the ruling from the chair then makes us the leaders at this point. May I now just say thank you to the people who served before us, my predecessor, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Murkomen, the Honorable Murkomen, Senator Murkomen, Speaker, and I come from the same region. He represents a neighboring county, Mr. Speaker, I just want to thank him for what he has done as majority leader. But not only that, Mr. Speaker, when there was tragedy between the Pokot and the Marakwet, Murkomen spoke for both communities, and he was very eloquent, Speaker. We had a tragedy, and you know, Mr. Speaker, that the Pokot and the Marakwet are just divided by a small stream. And that tragedy, Mr. Speaker, for which we have not had an opportunity to recover from yet, Senator Murkomen, who was majority leader then, used his position very well, Mr. Speaker, to help our people. And so I'd like to congratulate him and congratulate Susan Kihika, Mr. Speaker, for also being a steady whip. I know many times, Speaker, that being a whip, you have to respect everybody, and we have never had a situation where she disrespected anyone. So I want to congratulate both of them. Mr. Speaker, we will borrow from a lot of their experience. We will obviously reach out to them, and Mr. Speaker, learn something because we are now new in this team. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to say this, that there is no animosity on our side. Where the animosity is, I have no idea. It is only, Mr. Speaker, very possible that as we are politicians, we may have problems with individuals, but that's not to say the ruling side cannot sit together and vote together. We think that we can. And Mr. Speaker, my task, therefore, is to try and join with my team to bring out the team back, so that, Mr. Speaker, we can together work for government agenda and government business. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude. Speaker, by saying this. We are living in difficult times, Speaker. These are very, very difficult times. We meet only once a week, one day in a week, and so on. Until this thing goes away, Mr. Speaker, we'll use the opportunities left in between to build our team back and make sure that we can actually, Mr. Speaker, restore these things. Some of the circumstances, of course, are beyond us, but where we can, we will therefore want to restore this. Mr. Speaker, I know that the other team members will have opportunities to speak. I want to accept the position, and I want to assure you that I have the experience, and I'll do my best to use that experience, having run a political party, having been a minister in government. But also note, Mr. Speaker, that in my younger life, that I was younger, and I know some of the sentiments expressed, Mr. Speaker, that I've also had to go through some of these political situations. I mean, I've had, Mr. Speaker, to lose my seat at some point because of political machinations. But I'm just saying, Mr. Speaker, that when I was younger,
To use the words of Senator Ochilo Ayako, you were eaten.
Yeah, if
was it Ochilo Ayako or who? The Senator Kandiri? Both of you. Yes, Senator Ayako, did I misquote you?
No, Mr. Speaker. The majority leader was eaten and he had to lose his seat. So he's a person of even temperament. He has suffered from both sides and is rewarded for that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. And Mr. Speaker, I do understand what's happening sometimes. So I want to encourage my friends, my predecessor, and the team to take heart and please, let's get back together. We can always learn a thing or two from each other. And so with those very few remarks, Speaker, knowing that time spent, I am here now, and I can assure the members on the other side of the bench and the leadership on the other side that we will work together. We are still going to oversight counties. We are still going to oversight government. Mr. Speaker, we are not running away from our responsibility. We are just here to run the business, but we will not go along with everything that even if it's unpalatable. No, we will be able to oversight government, and that is our responsibility, and I do agree with my young colleague, Honorable Sakaja. Thank you for all those who prayed for us, who helped us in any way, and who have been wishing us well. We will bring the team together, God willing. Thank you very much.
Very well, very well, very well. What is it, Senator Kajwang?
Mr. Speaker, we have the misfortune that the Hansard does not capture body language. Would I be in order to summarize the body language of the incoming whip and the incoming leader of majority, Senator Irungu Kang'ata, as being uncharacteristically timid today, and Senator Pogisio as being uncharacteristic...
Order. Order. Order.
Uncharacteristically defiant, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order. Next order.